welcome back. It's me, Lou. I'm here for another action figure unboxing and review. So, if you were a child of the 80s, two of the most heroic cartoon characters of all time were He-Man and Optimus Prime. He-Man came from the Masters of the Universe, and Optimus Prime was from the Transformers. In this day and age, it is very common for companies to collab together and give us some amazing action figures. So, today I present to you this. We have He-Man decked out in Optimus Prime Armor. This figure looks fantastic and I can't wait to check it out. So sit back, relax, and just remember, I have the power. Okay, it's time to get up close and personal with He-Man in Optimus Prime Armor. He is the most powerful Autobot armor in the universe. Alright, so I reviewed the Megatron video, or I reviewed the Megatron figure in another video. I'm not sure if I uploaded that video yet as of this recording, but I love that figure. I said this before, for whatever reason, my brain just functions differently than other people, and I always fall into the camp of unpopular opinion. I know a lot of fans had mixed feelings about this collab. You know, I know that some fans, they didn't like the the look of the figures, but I don't know, for whatever reason, this really appeals to me. This weird collab amalgamation between Masters of the Universe and Transformers. It seems so out of left field, but at the same time, I can really appreciate something like this. Especially in this day and age, we see crossovers all the time. Like the Turtles, you know, TMNT, they're like whoring themselves out, and they like collab with like everything. And for me, it's a weird mix, because you have the dichotomy of Transformers and Masters of the Universe. They have nothing in common outside of the fact that they're both popular 80s toys and cartoons, but aesthetically, nothing alike. Their universes completely different from one another. But for whatever reason, the idea of combining these two properties into like a single toy line, I don't know, I was on board with this. What I wasn't on board with is that the fact that when these figures first came out, they were very, very expensive. I want to say, I think they originally retailed for maybe like $30 or more. And as excited as I was to see these at the store, I wasn't excited enough to pull the trigger on them. So for me, I just played the long game. I knew that at some point in time, my Target would have these clearance for like dirt cheap. And when that moment came, I just swooped in and grabbed them. So these figures, I think they're fantastic. The package design is superb. I love the fact that it's kind of 80s with the grid lines. You know, it feels very synthwave. But if you're a Transformer fan, you know, these grid lines mean something different. You know, especially if you're a fan of the Transformers animated feature. You know, there's that sequence when the near death of Megatron and those Decepticons. It's like after Starscream kicks them out of Astro Train, they're kind of just floating in space until Unicron comes across them. And then Unicron reformats Megatron and those dying Decepticons into like Cyclonus, Scourge, the Sweeps, and Galvatron. And when they do that, there's kind of like those grid lines, and it's kind of like that reformatting process. And I kind of feel like that's the case here. You know, not only are these grid lines paying homage to the 80s and synthwave and all that kind of cool stuff, but it's almost telling you, hey, this is He-Man, but he's being reformatted as Optimus Prime, and I really, really dig that. The logos look awesome, cool illustration, and yeah, this is cool. We have He-Man on one side, nice character portrait, and on the other we have Optimus Prime, leader of the Autobots. On the back, awesome illustration. This this really appeals to me. This really kind of captures that like fantasy artwork of like artists like Boris and Julie Bell. If you're familiar with those fantasy artists, you know, they were very big in the 90s and I think early 2000s. You know, really captures that barbarian kind of like painted feel that we got back in the day. By the power of Grayskull, thanks to the memories of the heroic Autobot leader Optimus Prime, He-Man has armor powerful enough to defend Eternia from Skeletor and his almighty Megatron armor. And then we have the Sword of Power here with the Autobot Matrix of Leadership on top of the hilt. And then He-Man has that crazy Optimus Prime looking helmet and even has the face mask. So yeah, I thought this toy line was cool. I think it only lasted 2 waves. You know, I think the first wave was Megatron and Bumblebee. And then the second wave was Optimus and Starscream. And I think the line's no longer with us. But like I said, as soon as these figures went on clearance, I swooped in and got at least the Megatron and the Optimus. And it's cool. You get the tech specs, much like the old 80s Transformer figures. And Optimus Prime, of course, you know, he has to be almost near maxed out compared to Megatron. Alright, we have the cool little mini comic, which I am not going to remove. I'm going to leave that on the card because I don't want to wreck the card back. This is one of the few instances with Masters of the Universe where I don't want to destroy the package. I think this is really cool. Alright, so He-Man comes with his Energon shield, power sword with the Matrix of Leadership, Energon axe. There's the faceplate. Wow, it was not... Alright, so I don't know if this is a first, or at least first for me. When was the last time they had metal pins in a Masters of the Universe accessory? You know, normally they're this all plastic, one piece, maybe possibly glued together, but this is actually pinned down. That's kind of unique. We have the... Yeah, it's tied in. I hate these plastic ties. We have the power sword, but with the Matrix of Leadership on the inside. This is cool. This is very, very cool. Alright, so if you're not a Transformers fan, the Matrix of Leadership is what the Autobot leader possesses in their chest. And it grants them special powers in their darkest hour. So it looks pretty neat. Love the sword. It's pretty cool. Energon axe, which you could probably swap out his fist and plug it into his forearm, much like we see in the cartoon. Alright, so if you're a collector and if you like displaying your figures on your shelf, this is the accessory to be fearful of losing, the faceplate. I have a feeling that this might accidentally pop off one day. You might be dusting your figures and you might move your He-Man figure aside and the faceplate will fall off and it'll be lost forever. So this is something you don't want to lose. There's a video, if you want to look it up. It's me reviewing the Masters of the Universe 2000X Skeletor. And then I'm trying to like yank him out of his tray. And I didn't remove the tie. And when I yanked him out, I broke his arm. It was such a horrible moment. And I hate those plastic ties. Alright, so when I first saw this online, I thought it looked cool. Don't get me wrong, I still think it looks cool. I can understand why some people don't like it. But for me, I think it's all the weird the weird stuff I kind of love put together. I love Transformers. I love Masters of the Universe. And then when you combine the two, it's weird. It doesn't make any sense, but it doesn't need to. When I first saw this figure in person, for whatever reason, I kind of felt like there's something about this that just feels like the New Adventures of He-Man. The New Adventures of He-Man came out like in 1988 or 89. It was a new cartoon and toy line that was a successor to the original Masters of the Universe. The difference is that the New Adventures of He-Man, it kind of took He-Man away from the weird barbarian and fantasy elements and kind of put him more into like a science fiction setting. And it kind of invariably changed like the way his appearance and the themes of the toy line and the cartoon. And seeing this version of He-Man wearing somewhat much more futuristic armor as opposed to like the barbarian stuff like the loincloth and the fur diaper, this just feels like it should belong in like the New Adventures of He-Man. You know, remove the head, it's given a normal head, and it feels like a different version of like Prince Adam or He-Man. You know, one that could exist in that other succession to like the original MOTU. The faceplate, like I said, you're probably going to lose this. It plugs in underneath. Does it go in easy though? Yeah, you're going to lose this. It feels like this thing's just going to like, you'll be asleep at night and this thing's just going to like, just for whatever reason, pop out of the helmet and then you'll lose it forever. It doesn't want to plug in all that easily. There you go. It's notched in, so you have to get it in the notches, aligned just right. And yeah, it looks like Optimus Prime if he had blonde hair. I say this, there's something about this. I think it looks cool. I know people don't like it, but there's something weird and wonky and wacky about it. And then there's even a slot you can deposit his power sword. Remove the hand, and then you can swap in the Energon axe, much like in the cartoon when Optimus is fighting Megatron on top of that dam. And they give him his Energon shield. Yeah, I'm all on board. You know, here's normal He-Man. This one has a slightly paler flesh tone, which might be intentional just to like give it more contrast against the red armor. But yeah, I'm digging this. Look at that. That looks cool. The price point I wasn't hot on. You know, these figures were expensive, but the minute it went on clearance, I had no problem swooping in and grabbing it. And then here we go. For the heck of it, we have Optimus Prime. So this is a vinyl Optimus Prime figure that I believe initially was a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive from like maybe 13 or 14 years ago. It was in a box set. I think these were called, I want to say Titan Heroes. These were the Titan Heroes are the larger 12-inch figures. But these are softer vinyl figures. There was a Megatron. There was a Starscream. I think there was a Shockwave. There might have been a Grimlock. And at some point in time, the box set, they broke that up and sold some of the figures at retail. And then I remember one holiday season, I got this and the Megatron pretty cheap at Walmart. But yeah, this really embodies the G1 cartoon Optimus Prime. You know, so you can have them go on adventures together and hold hands. And speaking of G1, this is not the original G1 Optimus Prime. My childhood one broke. And I remember I went to a party when I was little and I brought the toy with me. And there was a kid at the party and he was playing with it and he tried transforming it and he broke my Optimus at the leg. So, you know, that was very heartbreaking. And eventually I did get it replaced. But this Optimus here was a reissue. You know, Hasbro reissues this Optimus Prime like so many times over. This one was reissued, I think around, what was it, 2010? Whatever year Dark of the Moon came out in theaters. This was a reissue. But yeah, here you go. You have Optimus Prime next to He-Man. It looks cool. And I am very curious if this head comes off easily because, alright, it does. And let's try to get this head off. Yeah, I see. It looks. There's something about this. It looks like it should belong in like the New Adventures of He-Man. It almost looks like a different character. If you could remove the arms, which I'm sure you could. I don't want to do it here, but you know, if you just gave it normal arms, it'd look kind of cool. You know, it's like He-Man. It almost kind of looks like his with the red, the Thunder Punch He-Man. But yeah, I don't know. I love these figures. You know, I passed on the Bumblebee and I passed on the Starscream. I kind of regret it because the line's now dead. But if I could go back in time, or if I could find them very, very cheap, I might get them. But I really wanted Megatron and Optimus, just because I'm a huge Transformers fan, and you know, they're two of my favorite cartoon characters of all time, also. But yeah, if this is something that strikes your fancy, you know, look it up. Maybe you'll be able to find it for an affordable price. Or even check your targets. You never know. There might be some remaining stock. You know, like when I bought the Optimus. Today is June 4th, 2026. I bought this not too long ago, like a couple of weeks ago. Some of my targets have been remodeling. And then I found this like in the clearance aisle. And I bought this dirt cheap. I want to say I bought it for like $9. Alright, so that being said, let's wrap this one up. Once again, my name is Lou. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you're a returning viewer subscriber, thank you so much for your continued support. I greatly appreciate it. So until the next video, be safe, take care of yourself, buy lots of toys, and most importantly, be happy. And I'll see you at the next one. Alright, later.